Let's turn to the story that we are breaking at the moment, because there are more details now emerging in Karnataka's gold smuggling case. That's right, the gold smuggling case that has got a lot of coverage because it involves an actor, Rania. We're getting you all the very latest on that story at a moment. Actor Rania Rao traveled to Dubai. Look at this, 27 times this year. 27 times Rania traveled to Dubai. The Directorate of Revenue Intelligence has cited national security concerns. DRI in court, where Rania was produced and has been put in 2 weeks of judicial custody, says there were many protocol violations. Cash and gold worth 17.29 crores has been seized so far. Remember, her stepfather is a police officer, so there's another twist to that. The Karnataka gold smuggling probe, with a DGP level officer embroiled now in his stepdaughter's gold smuggling scandal, being linked to an old robbery dating back to 2014 when he was IGP Southern Range. India Today has also accessed details of just what the modus operandi was. Was this case a one-off, or is this the tip of the iceberg when it comes to gold smuggling? Has gold smuggling revived now with the price of gold rising? Take a look at our top story.
The Karnataka gold smuggling plot unravels. This is the first image of actor Rania Rao in custody, marks under her eyes, hair tied back. A stark contrast from her glam avatar in the movies. More revelations against the Karnataka IPS officer embroiled in his stepdaughter's gold smuggling scandal. Ramachandra Rao, chairman and MD of the Karnataka State Police Housing and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, who holds DGP rank, is allegedly linked to an old robbery case dating back to 2014. Rao was the IG Southern Range in Mysuru when a bus with Hawala cash was seized. 20 lakh rupees was recovered, but a businessman's complaint alleges that the police pocketed over 2 crore rupees from the bus. The then IG's gunman and police informants were arrested, while Rao was removed as the IG and transferred to the Karnataka headquarters.
The government is very serious, and we will ensure that this case is taken seriously, investigated, and we find out what's happening in this, who all are involved, and whoever it might be. Whether it is an ordinary person or some influential person, everybody will be brought to book, and we will ensure that this comes out in public.
The DGP has denied any link to his stepdaughter's smuggling activities. India Today accessed details of the Kannada actor's smuggling modus operandi. Rania Rao taped the gold bars to her waist and thighs and concealed it within her clothes. She modified her jackets and belts to smuggle the gold. Her frequent trips to Dubai put her on the radar. She visited the UAE 30 times in 2024 and 27 times just this year. Rania allegedly earned 12 to 13 lakh per trip and brought back several kilos of gold from Dubai by wearing the same jacket and belt and using police escort to evade security.
कौन उसके पीछे है, गैंग कौन है, कहाँ जाता है, वो पूरा डिटेल इंक्वायरी करना, सीबीआई को पूरा केस जांच करने के लिए देना.
Rania Rao, a gold smuggler. Her stepfather, an IPS officer. Is there more than this than meets the eye in the smuggling racket? Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's get more details on that case. Nagarjun Dwarkanath, our Bangalore Bureau Chief, joins us. Nagarjun, this case has created a real stir because of the people involved in it. A prominent actor, her stepfather being a DGP level officer, and this seems to have been going on for a while. What more are you picking up? Is this the tip of the iceberg, or is this a one-off case involving this particular actor?
What we are picking up from our sources within the department and agencies, Rajdeep, is that this is just the tip of the iceberg, because one person cannot accumulate so much gold and also sell it through individual contact. That would be the most difficult part. So we have heard from our sources that 27 to 28 trips over the last 24 months or 12 months through Dubai. Each time she would get paid around 12 to 14 lakhs to bringing kilos of gold. This time around 14 kilos of gold stuck to her jacket, thighs and legs and across her body parts is what we are told. So this is not just one of a kind. She's done it much before. And when the agencies raided her house, they found another 2 crore cash and also 2.6 crore worth gold, more gold found in that house. So it is totally up to 16 to 17
Whose gold is it,
that was
Nagarjun?
found.
That's the
And also
question.
the connection of the step.
Nagarjun, whose gold is it? There are alleged links to a
Rajdeep, we are yet to
jewelry
know-
store in Bengaluru. There are some who are saying that there could be politicians involved in this in Karnataka.
These are all angles at this point of time, speculations, but the DRI and the income tax officials are yet to pinpoint as to what this was, where this gold was coming from. As we know, it's only this recent trip was from Dubai, and the gold that was found in the house was from a jewelry store in Lavelle Road in Bengaluru, allegedly purchased from there, is what we are told. But yet to concretely get evidences as to does this have a bigger racket in terms of politicians and also gold smuggling and maybe even converting the money and hawala racket, is Rania Rao involved in this? All this is putting a big question mark on this incident. The bigger question is, did the father also have anything to do with it? Because when Rania was getting out of the aero bridge and getting out of the arrival, there was a small cop, a lower level cop was escorting her. That usually is the protocol when senior officers' family and they themselves come. The police constable or someone at the protocol department helps them to pick their bag and go away. The poor cop didn't know, is what we are told, when he was escorting Rania Rao from the baggage belt,
Right.
and the DRI immediately intercepted her and took her to the room to investigate. That's the bigger question also. Did the father have some role to play with it? However, he has issued a statement saying that me and my daughter have not spoken. She's separated from us. I'm extremely in pain at this point of time as a parent. I'm not talking to you as a cop, but as a father, I'm in extreme pain, is what he said.
Okay, we leave it there, Nagarjun. As you say, your sources are saying this could be the tip of the iceberg. She wasn't operating on her own. Good point to bring in Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, former ADGP in Karnataka. Mr. Sahai, are you surprised that with the scale of what seems to be happening there with this gold smuggling, could Rania Rao have been operating on her own, or could she be part of a wider gold smuggling network that could involve not just politicians, but also police?
Yeah, I'm surprised about the fact that an actor of this nature and somebody related to a police official, is involved in a case of this nature. So that is primarily the most scary thing which we can think of. With regards to the nature of offense in which she has been caught, the modus operandi of this particular offense gives a very clear-cut indication that it is a well-perfected art and an expertise to a level at which it can be done with ease. And putting 14.8 kgs on your body and still walk comfortably and go through navigating Dubai International Airport and Bangalore International Airport is not an easy exercise. While we come to the Bangalore airport in, say, another 30 seconds from now, Dubai International Airport, as you would be aware, Rajdeep, to navigate through the door frame metal detector there is not an easy job. With the door frame metal detector, you also have lots of technical resources which are deployed on every single passenger to make out whether he is smuggling or is not smuggling or is doing some criminal activity. Besides that, anything beyond 3,000 dirham has to be communicated or told to the customs. Anything beyond 60,000 dirhams, there is a clear-cut authority where you have to communicate, and exporting gold, you need a separate license. Now, how she has been able to do away with all those very messy legal requirements, which primarily means that it is certainly not the tip of the iceberg. The whole iceberg is there We have to get in deep into it to understand how people are navigating this iceberg.
No, so
and
is there a suspicion that this could be, given the fact that you're saying it's not just the tip of the iceberg, it's the entire iceberg. First of all, she's traveled 27 times, we are now told, since January, each time possibly carrying some amount of gold, being paid a certain amount for it is what is the accusation. Given that, going through Bengaluru airport each time with so much gold, then through Dubai, could this be some kind of an inside job?
See, if it is an inside job, take a hypothetical situation that it is an inside job, then it has to be an inside job from where the gold has been procured to navigating through that maze of legalities and physical stringent controls in Dubai airport, coming to Bangalore, making your way through immigration and then through the security. Actually, when you are entering the country, there is no security after you clear the immigration. And if you decide to go through the green channel, there is absolutely nothing which basically stops you from carrying what is there in your body until and unless the custom officials are suspicious of it. And I'm convinced of the fact that the custom officials, there is a huge amount of intelligence which also operates, and even DRI officials would be a part of it. So she has been able to go through this over and over again, and 27 trips or 30 trips or 35 trips, whatever it might be. It primarily means that all our technical systems, all our databases, all our metadata, they don't throw any patterns. If patterns are not thrown up, where will we be able to make out only through the physical seeing of things?
Is your belief prima facie, therefore this could be a Hawala connection? That the gold was being used as part of a wider Hawala racket as is being suspected?
See, that is a very simple thing. Now say somebody is procuring gold in Dubai. And if we go by whatever little information is available with us, I still feel that the investigation is in the nascent stage. So even if we take whatever information is available in the public domain and 30 odd trades, starting from Dubai, there is some procurement happening in Dubai, which is happening in an illegal manner. And 10 kg, 15 kgs of gold traveling in this manner, payment is being done. When she was caught, she was mostly, I presume, she was not able to show any documents, and that is the reason for which she has been arrested by DRI. Now, this level of a transaction, can it happen outside of the Hawala system?
Okay, you seem to suggest that it cannot happen. It is not, importantly, the word you used, just the tip of the iceberg. It's the full iceberg itself. Questions will be raised about both immigration authorities in Dubai and Bangalore. So both the airports will... Yes, very quickly, yes.
4,900 kgs of gold was caught in the year 22-23. There is a well-organized, well-oiled machine of gold smuggling in this country, inclusive from the Myanmar route. And if we take 5,000 kgs of gold in the fiscal year 23-24, and to best of my understanding, whatever little expertise and acumen I have, if that is the 10% of the gold which is smuggled into country, outside the country, transited through India, you can well imagine as to what is the nature of gold smuggling, the magnitude and the quantum of gold smuggling and the perfection in gold smuggling on which we are sitting.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there, Sanjay Sai. We're going to watch this case very closely. What more skeletons that come out of the closet? Is there an attempt then made to put the lid on this case? Who else is involved in this Karnataka actor smuggling scandal? Appreciate, Mr. Sahai, you joining us and shedding more light on the issue. I want to turn to another issue that should concern us, which is the new income tax bill. Remember, it was brought in, tabled in the last session of Parliament. It's being sent to a joint select committee of Parliament. But typically, the devil could well lie in the detail, because now as the bill is being read, the bill will grant the government the authority to allow tax authorities to access all your digital space. This includes your email, your social media accounts, and your online financial platforms. The new income tax bill enables tax officers to enter your digital spaces to obtain information if there is any suspicion of concealed income or assets. The question is, how valid are the fears that this is a huge violation of privacy and is conferring draconian powers on income tax officials, or is it the formalization of what already happens in income tax searches? Joining me now is Before that, just listen in to Supriya Srinath and C.T. Ravi, how this issue is becoming political.
This is nothing but the government trying to enter into our lives surreptitiously. This is nothing but the government trying to take control through the backdoor entry. This is nothing but the government trying to make India a surveillance state. And I'm not fine with it. Because we've already seen how driven by vendetta politics this particular government is, the Modi government is. They weaponize ED, CBI and income tax, not just against their political opponents, to crush activists or students, but anybody who has a difference of opinion. So I'm not fine with the tax official having access to emails and social media and bank accounts and trading accounts, because this is going to lead to unnecessary harassment and intimidation.
तकलीफ किसको? चोरी करने वालों को। कौन इंक्वायरी कर सकता है? अपना ही ऑफिसर। पाकिस्तानी लोग यहाँ आकर के, ऐसे ही लोग यहाँ आकर के जांच नहीं करेगा, केवल अपना ही ऑफिसर्स करेगा।
Let me go straight across to Mukesh Bhutani, one of the country's leading legal minds when it comes to tax matters, a former chartered accountant as well. He is a chartered accountant, managing partner, BMR Legal. Mukesh, what's your sense? Are the fears exaggerated when it is suggested that this new bill confers draconian powers or sweeping powers on income tax officials during searches to search all your digital, whatever digital space you have? You're on mute. You're on mute, Mukesh.
Well, first,
can you hear me now?
Yes,
yeah,
I can.
Go ahead.
Well, let's try and understand what the bill is talking about. Currently, as per the extant law, the income tax authorities have wide powers to get into your IT systems, but those powers are exercised in an outlier situation. For example, if you have a survey, what we call it 133A, or you have a search operations under 132. Now, this bill seems to have gone ahead of that, and it does give a unfettered power to the tax administration to look into all the specified transactions, including the tax filing, so on and so forth. Now, it clearly raises issues which go beyond the tax regulation, one on privacy and second on fundamental rights, wherein privacy is protected, and we have a catena of judgments by the Supreme Court on this. Now, we also should remember that in 2003, when the Right to Information Act was enacted, a similar issue came up before the Bombay High Court, wherein the Bombay High Court, in no uncertain terms, laid down that the information with regard to tax returns and tax assessments are privy to the individual taxpayer, and they cannot be disclosed by the tax authorities. So to that extent, this particular provision in the bill is overriding that judgment, number one. Number two, I have no doubt in my mind that the Select Committee of the Parliament, which is looking into this issue, is concerned about this particular provision, which tends to impact the taxpayer rights. And I just wanted to make one small point on the taxpayer rights. So in 2020, India was one of those few countries that went ahead and legislated. It enshrined a taxpayer charter. And one of the conditions of the taxpayer charter was privacy of taxpayers. So that now this particular provision in the bill seems to create a friction with the law as it exists today.
But what I want to understand, Mukesh, as you said already, even before the income tax bill, if the tax authorities so chose, they could get permission to explore all your digital devices. Does this now effectively formalize what already existed? You know, the government is saying, is trying to suggest that there is nothing different in what we've done in the IT bill to what existed previously. We are only formalizing existing practices. Is that right? Or is the government actually now violating the right to privacy?
No, the government is right to that extent. So, for example, if today under the extant law, there is a search and seizure proceeding or there is a survey on the business premises of a taxpayer, the government does have the right, even under the law today, to get into your computer system. But I think that the provision of the bill goes slightly beyond that. Even in situations of non-survey or non-search, you could have that situation. Having said that, Rajdeep, let's not forget the fact that today if you have investment accounts, the government has the right to see it because you need to maintain DMAT, which is registered with the SEBI and with a DMAT service provider. All of that information is visible to the government. So to that extent, it's going a little beyond that.
Right, that's the worry. And once you give such sweeping powers, discretionary powers to tax officers, then as some critics would suggest, it can even lead to tax terror. Mukesh Bhutani, for trying to simplify what this latest provision is and why it is causing so much concern, I appreciate you joining me. Let me turn from there to our Get Real India story. And our Get Real India story is a special report that we put together on what is a worrying trend emerging: rising suicide cases in IITs. A student was found recently dead at IIT's Dhanbad. The third-year engineering student was found dead inside the washroom of his own hostel room earlier this morning. The student has been identified as Tanmay Prajapati. The cause of death is not known, which will be ascertained only after a post-mortem. But what we found in our special Get Real India report is that there are several IITs where death by suicides are being reported. And the staggering figure is, over the last decade, suicides in IITs have doubled. Let me repeat that. Over the last decade, suicide cases in IITs have doubled. Both in proportionate and absolute terms, there is genuine cause for concern. Take a look at our special report. What is happening to our brightest and best when it comes to IITs? The darker side.
35 suicides in IITs in the last 2 years. These deaths at India's premier engineering institutes are causing concerns. One of the main reasons cited for suicides is pressure. Ankit Yadav, a chemistry PhD scholar at IIT Kanpur, took his life in February. His family alleges he was under tremendous pressure from his professor. Ankit's father filed a police complaint accusing the professor of mental harassment.
टाइम से छोड़ता नहीं था. जब मेस बंद होने का टाइम होता था तभी वो डिनर के लिए छोड़ता था. तो मैंने जो फीस दिए थे, मेस के चार्जेस दिए थे, वो क्या बचा हुआ खाना भूखे रहने के लिए देते.
Chemistry PhD students wrote a letter to the director alleging mental torture and inhumane work environment. In the letter, the students claim extreme mental pressure and harassment, invasive surveillance with video cameras, and voice recording inside the lab, denial of basic needs by forcing students to skip lunch and dinner to attend prolonged work meetings, and excessive work hours without consideration for well-being. They claim 10 students have left the lab in recent years.
I created a committee with 2 external members and 1 internal member, and this committee also co-opted 2 student members so that there is a complete transparency. Now it is arriving at its conclusions and writing the report. I am waiting for the report to land on my desk.
Varad Nerkar was final year MTech Polymer Science student at IIT Delhi. His family says Varad died by suicide last year after his project result did not meet his expectations.
ये जो लड़के हैं इनका खुद का काम करते हैं प्लस पीएचडी वालों का काम करते हैं. इसके लिए वो लड़के जो है वो डिप्रेशन में आ जाते हैं. प्रोफेसर जो है या उनके जो कोच है तो वो उनको उतना गाइड नहीं करते जितना आईआईटी के लोगों को जितना गाइडलाइन चाहिए.
Pragati, another PhD student at IIT Kanpur, took her life last year. She too blamed the atmosphere on the campus.
जो उनका प्रोफेसर सैयद हैदर अली थे, उनका जो वातावरण था वो सही नहीं था. वो बच्चों को डराते धमकाते थे. हम वहाँ पे डायरेक्टर ऑफिस गए. डायरेक्टर ऑफिस में कोई सुनवाई नहीं हुई.
Shaken by the campus suicides, IIT Kanpur is setting up a center for wellness.
Institution like IIT Kanpur, there will obviously be academic pressure. We will have 9 counselors which are already in place. We'll bring this full-time psychiatrist, doctor who can then lead any clinical challenge that exists.
With the past few months proving particularly tragic for the organization, where 5 students died by suicide in the last 18 months, now the institution pledges to take several steps, including setting up a wellness center with a full-time psychiatrist so that no such incidents are repeated in the future. With video journalist Shubham Shukla, this is Simar Chawla in Kanpur for India Today.
Let's raise the big questions once again. What is ailing our IITs that so many students are contemplating or committing death by suicide? Why are campus suicides on the rise in IITs? How does one check campus suicides? I'll be joined by many guests in a moment, but first I want to go to Chetan Bhagat. Chetan is not just, remember, a best-selling author, he's also a former IIT alumnus. Appreciate your joining us, Chetan. Figures show that the number of suicides of students at IITs have doubled in the last decade. As a former IITian, how worrying do you find this trend to be?
It is, any suicide, Rajdeep, is a worrying or a sad or unfortunate event. And of course, I'm from IIT, but like when an IITian commits suicide, it's almost baffling for the world, because these are the people who've kind of won the game, the won at life kind of thing. Like that's the ultimate dream for millions of people in India, to make it to an IIT. So to think that someone who's at an IIT could take such a drastic step, it just sends a lot of shockwaves down. And the fact that these numbers are growing is indeed, of course, extremely worrisome. I mean, if this is the state for IITians, it's not IIT, right? It means that even others whose data is not being tracked. I mean, these events, I mean, I don't even like to use the word suicide. I mean, these suicides are rising around the country, and which is very shocking because we live in these times. Yeah.
But Chetan, why do you think it's happening? Is it work pressure? When you were in an IIT all those years ago, did you find that the work pressure got you? Is it competitiveness, the battle for who will be first? From a distance today, after all these years, what do you think is the core problem?
Yeah, so there were a few suicides even during my stay at IIT, which was a long time back. In fact, if you remember the film Three Idiots, the plot points, there are plot points in that film or even in the book 5 Points a Month of suicides, because I was also shocked. I was at IIT and a couple of suicides happened. And it was largely linked to the pressure. What happens, Rajdeep, is these IITs take top 1% of people in the country, 1-2%. These are by definition, these are top rankers from around the country. These are people who've come first in their class or maybe first in their school in Meerut, and now they are at IIT. And they were celebrated as the top kid, and that's their identity throughout, that they are the topper. And now they come in a class of 300 toppers. Now someone has to come last. Someone has to come 287th out of 300, and now these were toppers in their towns. So they forget that now I'm in the big sea with swimming with all the sharks, and just the fact that you're surviving IIT is a big deal. You don't have to be number one because everybody cannot be. But for some people, I think it became an identity thing that I just need to get. I'm a topper. How can I come forget average? How can I be like in the bottom of the class? And I think that led to a lot of like despair, anxiety. That coupled with you left home, you don't have your family around you. So if you are, and a lot of these IITs have been preparing for IIT, so they have no social skills. So some of them can, but a lot of them cannot make friends easily with new people. So they don't have friends. They're sitting alone in their hostel, figuring out what the hell happened to me? Why am I doing so badly relatively in a bunch of extra bright people? And it just becomes a downward spiral. So that's normally how it happens.
It's not just students, of course, the parents, they are going through this trauma. Anything you would tell parents when it comes to guiding students now that counselling centers have also been put in various IITs?
One last thing, if Rajdeep, I know you don't have time. Again, a message through your platform to the parents, guys. Guys, try to talk to your children in a non-judgmental way. Ask them how they are doing, and ask them what they're thinking about their life, their career, things like that. And don't ask them questions in a way that you are trying to impose an answer. Like why are you doing badly? Don't say that. Like don't like create that extra pressure on your children. Just let them be supportive. We've all had tough times, bad times. Just say whatever it is, you will come out of it. And I think parents have a very big role. Don't disconnect from your kids. I know it's not easy. Young children do not want to talk to their parents, but I think parents have to like make sure they do check-ins with their kids on how they are doing anywhere they are.
And what's your advice to your fellow IITians? What would you advise them, those who are going through these anxiety issues as they are in IITs? What would you tell them from your experience?
You know, I think even at my time, there was somebody you could talk to, but firstly, it's not, how do I say it? A lot of times mental health issues, the person suffering from mental health issues, not really, some people are very good at self-awareness. So they know, you know, I remember you and I, we discuss when we meet separately offline, we discuss our careers and, you know, what's going on and are we happy with our lives and what do we want to do for the next 10 years? Is it really working or not? That's called self-awareness. So then if you talk like that, you know what, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety. I'm not really enjoying myself. But a lot of times people with mental health issues do not even know they have a mental health issue. They just feel it's the end of the world. And through your medium, through your platform, let me just tell to anybody listening, forget if you're from IIT or whatever, anytime it looks like in life that all options are gone, life will never be happy again, you know, this is my only option, that is not the correct way to think, because life always improves. At some point, it will improve. And so do not press the delete button yourself. The second thing, Rajdeep, I think why the data is showing that the numbers are increasing is there have been a lot of studies shown that the mobile phone and all the content, social media, attention spans dropping, people cutting communication, using chat to communicate rather than actually using face-to-face communication. All this is leading to some kind of anxiety, mental health issues. Anxiety levels have spiked up. There is a hockey stick-like growth. There is an Anxious Generation, a book, if you can read it, anybody who wants to read it. In the US, especially amongst teenage girls, they showed that the day smartphones came, say 2011, 2012 over there has been a hockey stick type jump in suicides over there. So it's true. A lot of times when people are mental health, they don't go and talk to anyone. What will they do? They'll open their phone, they'll watch Instagram reels, they're watching videos. It's not nourishing. It's like eating junk food, you know, it's not the same as interacting for real. So that is going to lead to make you feel more lonely. You may feel you are interacting on social media and fighting on social media. You are having human interactions. You're not. It's a dangerous game.
Chetan Bhagat, who I spoke to earlier, thanks very much. Let me go across to two live guests who are joining us. Dr. Sameer Parekh is Chairperson, Fortis Mental Health Program. I also hope to be joined by Professor Raghu Murthugude. He's retired professor at IIT Bombay, and Dheeraj Singh is IIT Kanpur alumnus. Let me come to each of you. First to you, Dr. Parekh. What, according to you, is the problem? Is it that, as Chetan Bhagat said, high achievers can sometimes also suffer from high anxiety?
Rajdeep, I feel that a lot of times we give an exaggerated importance to marks and grades, both for our own selves as students and parents, but also the environment around. Fact is that globally, death by suicide between 15 to 29 age group is the third highest killer. And 70% of this or more is from middle and lower income countries. There are a lot of aspects that needs to be looked into. Awareness, prevention, relationships, peer support, parent and relationship of these individuals, the environment at these
But why would IITians do it?
These institutes
but I'm sorry to intervene, Dr. Parekh, but why would high achievers do it? You see, I can understand those who haven't achieved their goals getting anxious, but high achievers, these are IITians who've gone through a very tough JEE exam to get there. Does high achievement lead to high anxiety?
No, Rajdeep, I don't think that is a direct correlation we should allow ourselves to make. Anxiety, depression are significantly high in terms of prevalence. In fact, the WHO report had mentioned a 25% increase post-pandemic as well. We look at achievers as to feeling that because they've achieved, they may not experience the other human emotions, which are also there. And these emotions can be related to peers, relationships, parents, finances, so many other aspects as well, and mental health issues as well. I think what we need to look at is one thing, before anything else comes to your mind when we talk about suicide, always say these two words together, suicide and prevention. Suicides are preventable, and that's why it should hurt us. That when over 700,000 people die by suicide every year, it should hurt us.
Okay, I'll come to the prevention in a moment. Dheeraj Singh, you're an IIT Kanpur alumnus. What's your sense? Why is this happening? Because the numbers are staggering when you think of doubling in the last decade.
So Rajdeep, I would like to not go into the pop talk here. You know, I have heard some earlier panelists giving analysis that, you know, it's an IIT problem or something like that. First, I want to give a global context. You know, where are the numbers, let's say in US and Europe, in the technical colleges, we have about 4 to 6 suicide death rate per lakh students studying there over a very long period. In IIT, that number is 12.5, you know, 3 times more. Now, are we saying the talent exists only in IITs and not in top engineering, global engineering colleges? By the way, IITs do not have yet cracked there in the ranking list. So there is less suicide intensity in US, UK, Europe, but much higher suicide intensity in IITs. Particularly, if you see, Rajdeep, in 2004 when I graduated, there were 2 suicides in the year. In last year, 18 suicides happened. 18, that's figure of 9 times.
So why?
I'm coming to that. Now look at the breakup. What we did, our group, Global IIT Alumni Support Group, we have been extensively interacting with students, taking their survey. And what we realized, academic pressure is the number one reason, 70 to 80% trigger, localized trigger, not the root cause, they're different, can be attributed to just academic pressure and the way the academic transaction is taking place in the IITs. And top 8 colleges have 80% of those incidents that you have reported, 150. Now today, including, it makes 151 suicides. Top 8 colleges.
You're saying, you've said something very important. You're saying academic pressure is the top reason in IITs for death by suicide. Professor Raghu Murthugude, retired professor at IIT Bombay, is joining me. Professor Murthugude, your initial remark, what do you believe? Do you agree academic pressure is getting the better of students?
It's complicated because I myself am an alumnus of IIT Bombay also, and I saw 2 suicides, one during my tenure at IIT, my stay at IIT, and one just after. And both were doing very well academically, and I have studied this a lot over time. Now I have a course on my channel called Climate and Human Evolution. Suicide is very difficult to understand even evolutionarily. Obviously, it's an impulsive action, and there are many trigger points which can, pressure points which can trigger the impulse. Is it just academic pressure? I'm not so convinced, because even smart kids do that. And our time, there used to be single rooms. Now there are double rooms. There are interpersonal interaction issues. There are all kinds of pressure points. We don't know the typology, the morphologies of these pressure points. Simply bringing it down to academic pressure as a single pressure point, I'm not convinced that's the case.
So what according to you, you're saying there is no one reason for it?
Honestly, we have to be, much more scientific about this. We are talking about the numbers over 20 years, and we have a larger population where suicides happen. Are we really statistically above the norm? It's a very difficult question, sensitive issues. We cannot ask such questions. But if we want to solve this problem, we have to understand whether we are really elevating the number of suicides expected in the society, or if we are in the norm, doesn't mean we cannot stop it, or we shouldn't stop it, or we shouldn't try. But once we have that baseline, then we have to start mapping the risk that students feel. And the most important thing in my mind is that students should feel completely free to express their anxieties. That may not be happening, that they are not getting a chance to say, I'm not feeling well. They feel pressure to act normal or ignore problems, and then it gets too late. So it's that ability to express.
Dheeraj, you wanted to respond. Just to reiterate, 2005 to 14, 42 deaths on campus, 2015 to 25, 108. Go ahead, Dheeraj.
2 points, Rajdeep. One, I disagree with my respected professor, for reason being, the suicide death rate of the country in India as a whole is about 12 and a half suicides per lakh population. The suicide death rate in IITs as a system together is roughly about 16 to 17 per lakh population. So you see, if you compare the resources, the budget and the resources, average IIT budget is roughly 10 lakh per student. Average country population per capita budget is 50,000 rupees. Now look at the poor, the system should have been much better. It is not. So certainly there is some problem. Now, whether we are going to slice and dice the problem here on this panel, I certainly agree that this is not the way.
My only aim was to, go ahead. Complete, Dheeraj.
I'm only trying to say, since 20 years, there has been no commission of inquiry to inquire why these 151 suicides took place. What is the reason? Who's accountable? And what is the way forward in terms of the remedy?
Important point. Dr. Parekh, from your vantage point, if you were to offer any solutions, what would you say? All the IITs are saying now they have counselling centers, mental health centers, but do you believe there's a solution out there?
Yes, Rajdeep, there is a solution out there, and we all have to work together, and we all need to understand that when it comes to suicide prevention, mental health experts like me are just one small piece of it. All of us are in it together, you as media professionals also, because this conversation also is a step forward. But having said that, let me try and give you a bit of an overview of what we can and what we should be doing, starting from schools, mental health curriculum, media literacy, social skills, life skills, so that young people are able to learn how to cope up with pressures of life, and right from early ages to understand that a cross-section of life, which is marks in a particular grade or a particular semester, do not define who you are. In a 75-year longitudinal axis, that cross-section doesn't matter. If you are struggling, go reach out to someone, which means encourage help-seeking behavior. Because
so you're saying
it's who struggle with issues, especially to mental health, they don't reach help.
Okay, so you're saying there has to be an institutionalized system that starts from school onwards. Professor Murthukude, let me give you a final word. Do you believe, as Dheeraj pointed out, there at least needs to be an inquiry? These numbers deserve greater attention.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I would still insist that numbers outside cannot be directly compared to IITs. It's not about the budget. Outside, you may be in an environment with friends and family where you have an easier time to express yourself. Whereas when you are thrown together in an environment like IITs, in hostels with expectations from their own parents running high, you have created an unusual situation. So that has to be accounted for when you compare numbers in the outside world versus IITs. With all that, we still need action. There is no doubt at all. We are just talking about how to go about bringing action without having a baseline, and we need baselines.
Okay, let's leave it there. As I said, this focus was only intended as a wake-up call, because we haven't heard enough from the authorities on what they intend to do to ensure that this problem is addressed. And that's the only purpose. As I said, our entire aim on the 9 p.m. news is to put the searchlight on the stories that really matter. This is a story that should matter to every Indian. A storm is brewing in Goa's politics. Now, a BJP leader and former minister has accused his own government of corruption. Former Minister Pandurang Madgaikar accused the Pramod Sawant government of being involved in corruption. Madgaikar claimed on camera that he had to pay 15 to 20 lakh rupees to a minister to get his work done. He further said that Goa ministers are busy counting money instead of working. This has pushed all the Goa ministers on the back foot, with some of them like Movin Godino challenging Madgaikar to reveal the name of the minister to whom he had paid money. It comes against the backdrop of the BJP leader BL Santosh in Goa to take the views of the MLAs on whether there could be a change in government or whether the government should have the same chief minister.
All ministers are busy in counting money.
CM change
Nothing is happening in Goa. Last week I paid around 15 to 20 lakhs to one minister. I don't want to.
For what, sir?
Take it for a small work.
Goa gone. Okay, let's turn from Goa to Chhattisgarh, where our story is about the husbands of 6 newly elected women panchayat representatives who allegedly took the oath in place of their wives in Chhattisgarh, prompting the authorities to order a probe and once again raising the question of panchpatis, or men who take over from their wives. The alleged incident occurred on Sunday, and now the video of the oath-taking ceremony has gone viral on social media. Take a look.
Members of Parsavara Gram Panchayat in Kabir Dham district of Chhattisgarh are taking oath. But 6 of them are not Panchayat members. They have taken the place of their wives, the actual members elected. Missing from the official event were Gayatri Chandravanshi, Sarita Sahu, Neerabai Chandravanshi, Santoshi Chandravanshi, Sarita Bai and Vidya Bai. The video of the swearing in held on Sunday has gone viral, forcing the authorities to order a probe. Husbands of women members running panchayat affairs is a common practice that derails the very purpose of giving women a quota in local bodies.
इस बारे में जनपद सीओ को बोला गया है कि वो जांच करके अपना प्रतिवेदन देंगे। अभी तो ये पुष्ट नहीं हुआ है, जो वीडियो चल रहा है वो अभी हम सबसे पहले इसमें जांच करा लेते हैं, उसके बाद ही कोई बात कर पाएंगे आगे।
While the incident has sparked outrage, no action has been taken against the Panchayat Secretary who let unelected members take oath. With Summi Rajapan in Chhattisgarh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Panchpatis, it seems, are back. Okay, just about enough time to a reminder that the country's top ideas and thought platform, the India Today National Conclave is back. Tomorrow is the big day. 2-day conclave starts Friday, Saturday with the theme Age of Acceleration. The India Today Conclave has a stellar lineup this year, and in a year when Donald Trump is upending the world order, one of his former diplomatic aides, a key insider to the Trump administration, former US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, will be one of the key speakers. Don't miss the India Today Conclave, 7th and 8th of March. We'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
This is the official portrait of Michael Richard Pompeo taken in 2018, when he became the Secretary of State in the Trump 1.0 administration. A year after Donald Trump lost his second presidential race, Mike Pompeo lost an astonishing 41 kgs in less than 6 months. A slimmer, sharper Mike Pompeo in the second term of Donald Trump in the Oval Office has put all his weight behind the current US president, like he always did. He is no longer part of the cabinet, but remains the staunchest supporter of President Trump.
America is back.
All the issues that the American president raised in his first address of the joint session of Congress were decoded and put out by Mike Pompeo simultaneously on X. He didn't even shy away from criticizing the Democrats for their lack of support for the president.
From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
His unwavering support for the president is not based on any political advances. Donald Trump withdrew security protection assigned to his former Secretary of State within days of assuming office. Mike Pompeo faced security threats from Iran for his hardline stances on the Islamic Republic. He was Trump's man to carry out the reimposition of sanctions after America came out of the landmark 2015 Iran nuclear deal. Many criticized Pompeo as being a presidential race aspirant in early 2023 when he published his book, Never Give an Inch. It was a brutal tell-all book of his 4 years in the Trump administration, first as CIA director and then as the Secretary of State. But he proved all wrong. No matter how he poked or provoked, he knows Donald Trump well and still remains his loyal supporter. In his second term, it's only been a month and a half, and Donald Trump has upended the world order. Mike Pompeo would be at the India Today conclave to break down all the presidential orders and help all to understand what Trumpism truly means in person, in real time.